Number 1. Do you decide who touches you? ADAPT demonstrated at the U.S. Department of Labor last fall to protest labor rules that would limit people with disabilities' choice about who would provide our services. The photo shows ADAPT activists leaving their wheelchairs at the bottom of the steps to an entrance of the Francis Perkins building, the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Labor. They crawl up the steps and block the doors before the 5 o'clock mass exit of government employees. Number 2. ADAPT's first national action was in 1983 to end the segregation of people with disabilities in this country, starting with public transportation. After the American with Disabilities Act in 1990 that required accessible public transit, the focus of ADAPT turned to ending the institutional bias in Medicaid that segregates people in expensive institutions and nursing homes. The photo shows ADAPT marching through the streets of Washington, D.C. toward the U.S. Capitol. Number 3. ADAPT is the largest direct action disability rights group in the nation, and we believe in using all the tools available to create change, including nonviolent civil disobedience. The photo shows Eileen Spitfire Sable facing the U.S. Capitol Police. Spitfire has over 60 arrests and a long history of confrontational nonviolence. Number 4. Like other social action organizations, ADAPT works with officials and agencies. We are part of committees in government to see positive and valuable policies that impact our community. We file lawsuits and follow legislation. We write letters and visit policymakers. ADAPT members participate in all aspects of creating change. The unique thing ADAPT brings to the table is that we also use direct action and nonviolent civil disobedience. The photo shows ADAPT marching off Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. Number 5. At the capital of Pennsylvania, ADAPT activists demand that the state government expand home and community options so people with disabilities are not trapped in expensive nursing homes and institutions. I'd rather go to jail than to die in a nursing home. The photo shows the police pulling ADAPT activists around the Pennsylvania Capitol. Number 6. I think if we can do our part to highlight the institutional bias and stand up for our community, we have an obligation to do it, said Keith Percy, a Boulder ADAPT Colorado who was arrested with 40 other activists at the White House. Unless we stand up and do something about the issues of our people being locked away, then we never do get free. The photo shows ADAPT at the old Executive Office building moments before breaking through the White House barriers, and 41 people were arrested, demanding the Obama administration fully include the disability community in the policies that impact us. Number 7. Many groups use various types of action, but don't typically take to the streets. Those other organizations of people with disabilities don't necessarily oppose civil disobedience, they just don't have it in their toolbox. The photo shows ADAPT marching loud and proud down Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. People with disabilities have a long history of being hidden away in institutions, facilities, and back rooms. An important part of being equal, being seen as equal, is being seen. Number 8. A year ago, ADAPT demanded that Vice President Joe Biden and the Obama administration keep their promise to work with the disability community and not to allow the U.S. Department of Labor rules that would send more people with disabilities to expensive nursing homes and institutions. The photo shows ADAPT protesting in front of the White House, where 60 activists were arrested. Herman Ferrati and Matt Clark are handcuffed to the White House fence. Number 9. I am getting arrested today because the Vice President has broken his promise to end the institutional bias. I am angry, said Don Russell of Colorado ADAPT. The photo shows an officer who came to arrest Don. She said directly to him, "Officer, I am not going to resist, but I am not going to drive this chair." And she did not. The officer called for a specialist who was able to figure out how to power up the wheelchair, and the arresting officer used the joystick to drive Dawn in her power chair. Number 10. Indeed, this is the very purpose of direct action, said Martin Luther King in his letter from a Birmingham jail to those who suggested negotiation was a better way than direct action. Nonviolent direct action seeks to create such a crisis and foster such a tension that a community which has constantly refused to negotiate is forced to confront the issue. people with disabilities striving for equality.